I'm Harry Tuatko. We're back. Our guest is no less than the Honorable Ambassador Guy Ledoux. He is the ambassador now here for the European Union and the commission that comes and actually develops work with us here in the Philippines. Now, let's go straight first before we go into the other issues. Let's talk about Malampaya, exactly what's happening. About a week ago, they came out in the newspaper, no less, the headlines in all the major dailies, and this was about the expansion of the Malampaya. But I'll ask Ambassador Ledoux to explain this to us. Ambassador, the Malampaya is our major source of electricity to date. And I think the Filipinos realized this just recently because of our local politics and things that happen because of pricing, electric pricing, and our system in how we derive price and cost of electricity. But never mind about that. Let's talk about the source. Malampaya, it has been a big, big resource for the Philippines since it was built by the Royal Dutch Shell in partnership, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm saying it the wrong way, with Chevron, together with our own Philippine National Oil Company and Petron. Now, this is gas. This is what we see in photographs, and for those that have taken it, these are the platforms on the sea. It stands on stilts. It is like a little city, a mini city, or a mini subdivision of some sort. It stands and it's full of pipes and whatnot, and it sucks the gas from Mother Earth, and then it cleans it, correct me if I'm wrong, and then it transfers it all the way to Batangas, and then from there it comes in many different forms, compressed natural gas, it comes as the electricity, well, from Malampaya it's already pulled out, that goes into the grid, correct me if I'm wrong, as the main source. That's incorrect. Oh, please explain. you know it so much better.
Now, when the gas arrives in Batangas, it is providing gas to 3 gas power stations.
Gas power stations, okay.
That are burning the gas to produce electricity.
It burns the gas. That's where we get the energy.
Right.
Okay, okay.
That's where you get the electricity. And in fact, those 3 power stations provide about 2,700 megawatts to Luzon.
To Luzon.
So that's 40% of Luzon electricity comes from the Malampaya gas.
So it goes through there. Now, the stage 2, which was plastered all over the broadcast, the newspapers lately, is there's going to be a redevelopment or an improvement into that platform. And the EU and the Commission, you came in with a delegation, correct me if I'm wrong, but business interests have come in through the EU, and you went around with them, you inspected, and you're using Subic now in Keppel, no less, and you're developing, in fact, you built probably the largest gantry crane that we have seen in this part of the world. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's absolutely true.
But here in the Philippines,
yes.
And it's already ongoing, that's provided not only manpower, but technology transfer. This is correct?
That's correct. That's
and
correct.
you are improving stage 2 of Malampaya, meaning why? There's not enough gas anymore, or it's going to be a new platform. What is the purpose of stage 2? To enhance, correct me if I'm wrong, is it to enhance the current amount of gas that is being extracted, support, or to build a new plant?
No, what is happening is that after 10 years of exploitation of the gas well, the level of gas is decreasing. And to ensure that we have the same level of production, we need a second platform to compress the gas and to bring it out of the well. That's why we have that. So thanks to this $1 billion European investment in Malampaya, we're going to ensure that the same level of gas production will last for another 10 years. So it's extremely important that this investment is done now.
So this is forward-looking to maintain, to sustain what we already have.
Right.
Because if we don't do this, it will go down.
Absolutely.
Eventually.
Absolutely.
But the difference is, from what I've been reading, we are building all the platforms here now for a change.
That is
unlike the first one.
Exactly. The first platform, which was then put in place in the late 90s, early 2000, was built in Singapore. But for the first time, this second platform is built entirely in the Philippines, in Subic, by Shell with different partners. You mentioned Keppel, and you have procurement from many European countries, including Siemens from Germany, who are providing the compressor, and Rolls-Royce, who is providing the turbines. that will be put on the platform to clean the gas and to pressurize the gas to send it through the pipeline to Batangas.
This is all European technology.
Yes.
So
yes.
100% European technology.
Well, I mean, you have a component of that platform coming from all over the world, but mostly from Europe. They showed us when we were on the site a map of where all the components were coming. You had components from France, from Italy, from the Czech Republic, Germany, and the UK, as I mentioned already, also from the Netherlands, but also from other parts of the world, I think India and other places.
So it's an international, you basically,
Absolutely.
it's like a syndication of countries
Yes.
for technology to improve this platform. But what's interesting is you're actually using Filipinos now and building it here. So it should come out, you'll be able to produce more because it's locally, rather than doing it in Singapore or whatever port and then having to barge it in.
Well, what is important is that it creates 1,500 jobs here in Sweden.
Terrific. 1,500
yes,
jobs.
that's,
And these high-tech jobs.
Absolutely.
This is not just labor.
No, that is it's a very complex assembling plant to put, and you have welding of very complex pipe. So it's highly paid jobs.
But this is not building a second plant, not necessarily. This is sustaining to help to expand the capability of the current Malampaya. There's nothing else in the plans yet for another plant, for example. For example, near the Spratlys, which they say is there's a lot of gas, there's abundance in gas. This is just to support, to develop, and to improve and guarantee the supply of gas for Malampaya.
At that stage, it's mainly to guarantee the current level of production of gas to feed in the Batangas gas power station. But of course, there is a potential for more, but for that you need to
Extract.
To find a new well, and when you dig a well, you never know whether you're going to find gas or not. I was told during my visit that you have to dig about 40 wells to find one.
40 wells?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that complex.
And one well cost $100 million. So it's an extremely expensive type of business.
Yes, I can imagine. Which is why the countries, there's what you call the guarantee, the government guarantees that have to come in.
Yes.
But the EU, interestingly enough, let's see, the ones who build all these now around there, the South Koreans are becoming very strong. Before it was General Electric in America that were building these these nuclear plants. And now it's the EU coming in doing the gas.
I talked with the people of Shell when I visited
You actually went to the
Subic.
platform.
We went on the site in Subic,
the site in Subic,
where
yes.
they are building the platform. The platform is currently being assembled in a dry dock, and then will be floated somewhere between November and December of this year.
It's very close.
And yes, in 2 years the whole process will be completed. They started early 2013, and then they will bring the platform on a barge on the site, and then they will put it on the ground.
Like Lego, it's assembled,
Yes.
just putting the pieces together.
Yeah, and then you have to hook it to the pipeline also.
Where do you see the production, the cooperation, the partnership of the Philippines and the EU in the next 5 years under your leadership? Where do you think it's going? These last 2 years has been very productive and it's kept you very busy with just the Malampaya alone. The amount of money that has been brought in and invested is very significant.
The EU is very interested in the Philippines and in the whole of the ASEAN region. ASEAN region is in the region of
Yes.
600 million people, and is one of the fastest growing part of the world. So the EU wants to be plugged into with the fastest growing economy in the world, and the Philippines with its high growth both in 2012, 2013, and the forecast for 2014 are very high also. 7+%. The EU is very interested, and we see that also in the trade figures. For example, in 2012, Philippine airline bought around 60 Airbuses to modernize.
Which is Europe.
Come from
Airbus, yes.
Airbus industry, so that
French,
is
right? It's French.
No, it's a European project.
It's a European
There are
project.
four
countries.
countries. You have France, as you mentioned. You have Germany, a major partner, UK, and Spain. There is the headquarters of Airbus is in Toulouse. You have a big factory in Toulouse, but you also have factories in Germany and in the UK and in Spain. Don't forget that most of the engines are Rolls-Royce engine, and those are manufactured in the UK.
The UK.
Yes.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, the world is divided by either General Electric or Rolls-Royce. And then, of course, the aeronautics or the big planes, it's either Boeing or you have the Airbus. The Airbus is basically European, which is now leading the industry to date, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yes.
The integration of the ASEAN comes to a full plan by January 2015.
By the end of 2015.
It's the end, not...
That's what I'm told, yes.
I was of the impression it was January 2015, together with the digitalization based on our constitution. Where do you find that developing together with Europe? It will bring the ASEAN closer to par with the European? Or it's just, you're not, well, the EU doesn't really meddle in the politics of any country, does it? You just basically, it's trade, economic development, agriculture, I think, as well.
What did you say? That the EU doesn't matter? Yeah.
No, you do not meddle, I've noticed, in the politics of any country. You leave it, because that's your policy even in the EU itself. You leave them to their sovereignty. Yes, but you get involved with the production of the country, the economic development.
The European Union project is not limited to economic and investment. The European Union project is also developing a common foreign policy. I mentioned the case of Iran, where the EU High Representative is the negotiator.
Today.
With Iran. The EU is involved in the crisis of Ukraine. We had the Foreign Minister of France, Germany, and Poland who went.
That's only in the last week or two.
Kiev. Yes, while our High Representative had a meeting with all the other Foreign Minister of the remaining country in Brussels to discuss what should be our policy. We have a common policy on many crises, whether it's on Syria, whether it's the Middle East peace process, whether the crisis in Africa, in Libya, in Mali, Central African Republic.
Yeah, Mali, yeah.
Yes.
Is it?
To go one step further, we have developing a common defense policy. If you look at piracy, for example, you might remember that 2 or 3 years ago there were a huge problem of pirates off the coast of Somalia.
Yes.
And
but it was the French that taught them a lesson. Put them back.
Well, it was in fact a European project where the navy of European country, the UK, the French, the Italian, the Spanish.
It wasn't just the French.
They all sent their military ship in the region and in a coordinated manner controlled the shipping lines. Yes, it was a European project. Yes.
Can you liken the European Union to the United Nations, the League of Nations? Does it act like the same? It sounds like that.
It is not like the European Union.
There's a big difference.
Is a political project. We have, as I said, shared sovereignty and a common policy. The United Nations wants to find agreement with all the countries in the world. This is not, and the legislation that is proposed and the resolution that's proposed by the United Nations apply to the whole world, but they are very general.
Very loose, the structure.
Loose resolution, whereby the EU, as I said, have to apply 100,000 pages of
so the difference is you have strict criteria, and the only way you can join and participate is if you follow these basic tenets. Unlike the United Nations, the difference would be it's a matter of putting everybody in front of the table, but not necessarily following the same resolutions. It's case to case.
The EU is a political project where European countries want to defend their own interests towards the rest of the world, which is a different situation. I wouldn't define the EU as an international organization. I would define the EU as a political project.
A political project.
Yes.
interesting as it is, it's the development of the EU, and as it comes to play, let's see. Your biggest news that's coming out there is you have a big election for your parliamentary in 2015.
No, the European Parliament is
2014.
This year, in May this year.
And you will be electing new members of your parliament?
We have 750 members of the European Parliament.
And they get voted by
and
all its members?
Each country has a number of
representatives.
European parliamentarians. Big country like Germany or the UK have about 80. And then the number of representatives is proportional to the population, which is quite normal.
Who does the electing? Who are the people of each country based on the
I
representative?
can vote. Any
European?
French citizen will vote for the French member of the European Parliament.
You will vote for your membership. Let's suppose you're 80. You will vote for 8. That's a big number of people to vote.
Yes.
And you go out and, for example, if you wanted to be part of the parliament,
each region, each province, let's say, has one representative.
Okay.
One member of the European Parliament.
All right.
Right.
So the district there will vote for that person.
Exactly.
So it's not like you vote 80 people
No,
or at
no,
one
no,
go.
no.
So it's like here, it's representatives that
Yes,
come into
yes,
play.
Yes.
Wow, it's not all that easy to understand. I'm sure our guests, our viewers are watching. How does that work? It's very confusing. But like you said, it's not confusing. And the relationship, let's see, the members and countries in the relationship with the Philippines. Do you get excited? Is there something to be excited about the trade relationships with the Philippines, with the EU? Yes, because of the CAPEL, because of the development
we are
of
very
Malampaya?
excited about the level of trade and investment that we have. For the moment, it's about 10 billion euro.
Whoa.
I'm talking about euros, so that's about 13 billion
13 US.
US. And we're looking forward to expanding this trade relationship. The EU is the largest foreign investor here in the Philippines, with 7.7 billion euro of foreign investment here in the Philippines.
I thought it was the Chinese. I'm surprised it's the
In terms
EU.
of foreign investment?
Yes, in terms of foreign investment. I'm
is
sorry. I stand corrected. That's terrific.
No,
I didn't
but
realize
I mean,
EU.
you even have to listen to your own president.
Yes.
President Aquino, when he went to China in 2012, reminded the Chinese leader that there are more Filipino investment in China
than
Chinese investment in the Philippines.
But our trade with China is now, what, 32%, more than any other country with China, unlike traditionally it was with America in the old days.
Well, it depends on which figure you look at. If you look at the Chinese figures, yes, it's pretty big. If you look at the Philippine figures, it's not the same level. There is a huge discrepancy between the statistic here in the Philippines and statistics in China.
How about our trade with the European Union in general and the Philippines? Do we have a very lucrative trade?
We have, for a long time, we had the EU had a trade deficit, but this deficit is progressively diminishing. Last year has probably balanced trade relationship.
Oh.
The main export of the Philippines remains in the IT sectors, microchip and all this electronic equipment. But I think there is a huge potential also in agriculture product like coconut oil. I think coconut oil. Europe is one of the major markets to Europe. Fishery product, tuna, and
there are open markets in Europe. We export.
Yes, and so one of our perspective is to negotiate a free trade agreement between the Philippines and the EU. We are open for that. We have started.
Interesting, very interesting.
We have started negotiating free trade agreements with Singapore. We nearly closed this chapter. We are negotiating with Malaysia, Vietnam, and
maybe
Thailand.
the ASEAN as a whole.
Well, we started with the ASEAN as a whole, but we understood after 2 or 3 years that the disparity of the size of the economy between Singapore and Laos is so big that it makes the issue are so different that we decided that it was more productive to start negotiating with each individual ASEAN country.
Tourism, the role of tourism of Europe basically as a whole coming to the Philippines and vis-a-vis the Philippines going there. Is there improvement between the two countries? And our peoples visiting each other,
Yes,
traveling?
that's one of our major achievements in the last
So we have
few
increased
years.
Caucasians coming, or Europeans. Let's call them Europeans. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Because I call them Caucasians, but it's not fair.
First of all, we need to congratulate ourselves for lifting the air ban last year. You know that we had a problem with
Category 2, Category 1.
Yes, category that is 1 or 2. That is an American business, but the EU also had a ban, which was lifted.
Which is why Philippine Airlines is flying in now.
Philippine
It's big
Airlines
news in the last 3 months.
is flying directly to London.
Yes.
And have now negotiated agreement with France and Italy.
Paris
And I'm sure
flying in.
within this year we will have a direct flight also to Paris and to Rome. So of course I don't have the final figures for 2013.
But tourism is growing.
We are talking about 300,000 European tourists, if I'm not mistaken, and it is certainly, it will further grow with the direct flights that we have now.
Traditionally, we had a lot of the Europeans coming in and out, and then it sort of slowed down, and then the Chinese, and then now the South Koreans coming in and out, being the major tourism nationals that are coming in. But traditionally, the Filipinos are quite familiar with the French, the German, of course, the English, the Spanish being our history anyway, and all the other European countries. This would be good for both countries, yes, the travel.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we are happy also to welcome Filipino tourists in Europe.
Thank you very much. Ambassador, we're at the top of the hour, and we're going to have to end, but what message would you like to give our viewers before we go, a 1 minute, 2 minute message about the role of the EU and our country and the Philippines? Exit message? What would you like to say to our viewers?
Well, I would like to remind the Filipino public that the European Union is a group of countries, 28 countries with 500 million people, and is the largest economy in the world. So it's an international partner that the Filipino business people cannot ignore, and there is a lot of potential for business in Europe, and we encourage Filipino businessmen to explore the European market, which is one single market. When a product enters one country, whether it enters in Germany, in the UK, or in the Netherlands, it can travel freely in all other European countries. Europe is also very interested in investing here in the Philippines. We have this flagship project in Subic, building a new platform with the Shell company, but we are eager to invest even more in the Philippines. I have heard of many other projects, whether in the automotive component sector, whether in the cement sector, or the BPO sector, and we hope that we can further expand our economic and trade relations. But one final point I would say is that EU-Philippine relations is not limited to trade and economy. We are also interested in developing our political relation. We are a major supporter of the peace process in Mindanao. We are interested in regional security issue, whether maritime security or other, and to fight together against international terrorism. Finally, another sector where we can expand our relationship is in the energy sector. You mentioned before the issue of the prices of electricity. The EU is very advanced in renewable energy and is ready and willing to share its technology and its experience in the renewable energy sector with its Filipino partners.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for all the work you're doing for our country. This is what we call nation building with the rest of the world. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Ambassador.
you, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we end, there you go. If only we could understand, comprehend all the different points. Simple as put forward, the problem is, do we really comprehend the role, the significant role of the EU? Simple points that he has pointed out. 500,000 people, biggest economy in the world, the excitement of the relationship, there we go. So, you are what you watch, you are what you listen to, and you are what you read. We hope you have learned something. Critical thought will come on in understanding our relationships towards these opportunities. It's not talk, it's already happening. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week. Thank you.
You are what you watch.